Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Great to see you all on this beautiful day. We have a very special guest today, and as you know, I try every month to bring a guest musician in, and the person that's going to play for us today, and I will be accompanying her, has been a member of the Lake Chapala Orchestra for over a year. She is the principal second violin, which is a very important position in the orchestra. For the past 2 weeks, she has been the student apprentice for the February festival and has played with some of the top international musicians in North America. And those of you that have been to the concerts will know exactly what I mean. And she is a student of the artistic director of the festival, Chris Wilshire, who will also be playing with the orchestra of the Brook Violin Concerto in a month's time, and you can pick up a leaflet on one of the tables. But I am so delighted to welcome to Unitarian Church Miss Brenda Galvin. Brenda will be playing 3 pieces for us this morning. The first piece is a very famous, beautiful piece from the opera Thais. It's Meditation, written by Jud Dolphin.
Wow, that was amazing. Good morning again. My name is Carol Johnson, and I'll be leading today's service. Jud Dolphin will be presenting our message this morning. Our opening words come from George Bernard Shaw. They were also used by Robert Kennedy during his 1968 presidential campaign. He said, "You see things and you say, why? But I dream things that never were and say, why not?" And so I just want to welcome you with Live from Fellowship Hall. It's our LCUUF Sunday service. Our announcements were on a slideshow before the service and were also sent out by email yesterday with the order of service for today. And now, a special welcome to our visitors. If you are visiting us for the first time or have returned or reconnected with us after a long absence, we invite you to say your name and tell us where you're from. If you're on Zoom, use the Zoom raise hand feature and we'll ask you to unmute. If you're in the room, just raise your hand. Hold it.
Hi, my name is David Kramer. I'm a member of the Unitarian Universalist Church in Iowa City, Iowa, and I'm down here for about a month.
Welcome. Welcome. Somebody else? Switch to Zoom. Is there anyone new with us on Zoom today? Hello, Zoom. Oh, okay.
No one that I see, I'm sorry.
Okay. Thank you. All right. And just a brief note, we offer a wide variety of services on various topics presented by our members, outside guests, as well as our minister, Reverend Matt Alspa. We hope you'll return to sample this variety of thought and belief. Our chalice lighting words today are by Crystal Hogan. We light this chalice to honor our work, to celebrate our community, and to bring hope and determination to our mission in the wider world. Now let us light our chalices with these words that we sing together. Sorry, sound people.
We kindle this light in celebration for the life that we share.
All right, and now we have another musical interlude with Brenda and Michael. Michael?
The next piece we're going to play is by Piazzolla. Those of you that were at a concert yesterday afternoon were witness to one of Piazzolla's great pieces, his take on the Four Seasons of Buenos Aires. This, and I'm glad the bells have just started because by the time I finish speaking, they will have finished. This piece is called Ave Maria. Now, of course, most of you will know the famous Schubert Ave Maria, but this is the one by Piazzolla, very different, but still just as beautiful. And I think that this would be an appropriate time to dedicate this performance to the memory of Liz Mulder, who passed away last night. So please welcome back Brenda Galvin. Excuse me, I put the wrong glasses on. You wouldn't want full of wrong notes. Okay. And we've got some percussion accompaniment as well.
Each week, we take time to remind ourselves that we belong to a community which cares for one another. The sharing of joys, sorrows, and milestones is one way we practice holding one another in community. We speak what is in our hearts, sharing any significant joys or sorrows in our lives, because there's power in the sharing. We'll start with the folks in the room, to give those on Zoom a chance to type joys or sorrow into the chat to be read aloud by the Zoom host. First, let's recall the joys, whatever you may be celebrating, whatever evokes a feeling of joy or peace for yourself or others. Are there any joys to be shared here in the room today?
Thank you. I'm Larry, and I'm with Democrats Abroad. I'm happy to announce that the 10th Annual Film Festival is starting in the month of March, every Thursday and Sunday. And I have tickets. I have flyers that'll be out there. If you're interested, see me after the... This Thursday. This Thursday, right. And they're movies that matter. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Fred Harland. I have some things that I'm pleased about, but I find it a little bit difficult to be all that joyful, knowing that Liz Mulder, one of our longtime members, has passed away yesterday. But I'm pleased that Mardell and I, although we're leaving up north, will be here for yet another Sunday, and we'll be here next winter to see you all again. Our closing on our house went quite well on Friday. We're staying at Teresa Sandy's house for the next week or so and are having a wonderful time. On Friday, we celebrated the closing of the house. And yesterday, we had the joy of seeing the Northern Lights last performance. So it's been a good time, and we'll see you all next Sunday. We're really pleased that we'll be doing that, and that we'll be back again next year. Yeah.
Thank you, Carol. I'm David Rosh, and I just want to celebrate the gift that we have in Volodymyr Zelensky. We're so fortunate to have a true statesman who knows who he is, and I think he's taking a leadership role in the world, and I just want to say thank you for all of us.
And him with his T-shirt to boot.
Hi, I'm Deborah Kelly. Oh my God, I haven't been Deborah for years. Oh, wow. I guess that's because my joy is that my daughter, who knew me as Deborah, is arriving on Saturday for a week, and that just fills my heart with joy. But my real name is Devorah.
My name is Sharon, and I'm just glad that Brenda is here today because many of us enjoyed the festival over the last 2 weeks, but do not know or support the Festival del Lago. And I was fortunate enough to see Brenda at the Festival del Lago as a student. And people forget about that one. And this is the quality. And they're coming in August for 2 weeks with Chris and all the other masters, the cellist, and people that you saw to learn to get better, which blows me away because if I was criticized, I've told them this like they were, I would have been in tears out the door, and they say, well, we come for this. So this is the quality you get at Festival del Lago with the students. So please support them this summer.
Susanna and I have a joy, and that is that we have just completed moving to Hamaka Country Villages, which is a little bit south of the hospital, San Antonio Hospital, and we're very happy. It's a beautiful place.
Wonderful. Very good.
Okay, are there any joys to be shared on Zoom?
No, not today.
All right. So now let us voice our sorrows, whatever you or the world may be holding that is in need of our healing and caring thoughts. All right, if there are any sorrows today in the room, I'll bring you the microphone. First of all, I would like to say we have, as people have alluded to, we've lost our precious friend, Liz Mulder. And she passed away last evening around 7:30. And she had a wonderful life. And in fact, what I want to say is it's also a joy for us that we have her voice in her books. I have never read any book by anyone where you could hear the author's voice so clearly. And so we will have Liz with us for her books. And again, it's a great loss for us. Anybody else?
Hi, I'm Devorah. That used to be Deborah. Anyway, I'm not sure what category this falls in, but I would really appreciate lighting a candle in memory of my husband, Bob Kelly, who died a year ago tomorrow. But part of it is also a joy. My daughter, the one who's coming on Saturday, texted me this morning. She and my son and my grandson and maybe my daughter-in-law are skiing at Magic Mountain in Vermont. And knowing Leela, she's going to be yodeling all the way down in memory of her dad. So it's both I don't know what it is, but it is what it is.
Hello, everybody. My name is Francisco Ursua. I have concern because next weekend I no can come for do the coffee next Sunday. I need go for Guadalajara for the convention for 3 days, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I no can come. Sorry.
We'll miss you. Any other sorrows here? Huh? I also didn't say today is Liz Mulder's birthday. All right, Richard, we have any sorrows on Zoom?
Yes, I do. I have several. First, from Kathy Coaches and Bob, please light a candle of concern for a dear friend whose cancer is returned.
Wait, we didn't hear the beginning of that, Richard.
From Bob and Kathy Coaches, then please light a candle of concern for a dear friend whose cancer has returned. Then from Zoom, from Tom McClure, concern for the people and especially the children of Ukraine who are enduring a harsh winter while under constant attack. From Sally, I am sad I didn't get to see you this visit, but once. Heading back to Ohio on Tuesday. See you next year. From Trudy Crippen, I'd like to light a candle of concern for Barley Donahue, who is suffering from a painful case of COVID. I wish more of you would wear masks. And from Susie Lindeman, my heart breaks for the loss of our dear friend Liz. She'll remain with us. Much love in spirit. From Susie Lindeman. And I also want to acknowledge the passing of Liz, like others here. She was a dear friend, and we will miss her. And that's it.
All right. Thank you, Richard. And this big candle from our care team represents the joys and sorrows that we hold in silent sanctuary of our hearts. We light this candle for all those unspoken sorrows and joys. Let us share a moment of silence to hold in our hearts both the sorrows and the joys that have been shared this morning. All right, our reading this morning is called Babies in the River. This is a classic story variously attributed to Saul Alinsky and or Irving Zola, both social justice activists. It was part of the UU curriculum for social justice training. Once upon a time, there was a small village on the edge of a river. Life in the village was busy. There were people growing food and people teaching the children to weave blankets and people making meals for one another. One day, a villager took a break from the fields and noticed something strange. As she looked closer, it was a baby floating down the river toward the village. She couldn't believe her eyes. She heard crying in the distance and looked downstream to see that 2 more babies had already floated by the village. She screamed to anyone who could hear her, "Come see the babies! Babies are drowning in the river." One villager heard the woman but continued working. He was busy working on a project. Another yelled, "Maybe later," and continued stirring the soup for supper. "Oh, this is terrible," a woman who had been building a campfire shouted. "Look, there are even more upstream." Indeed, there were 3 more babies coming around the bend. "How long have these babies been floating by?" asked another villager. No one knew for sure, but some people thought they might have seen something in the river earlier. They were busy at the time and didn't have time to investigate. Something had to be done. Quickly, they organized themselves to rescue the babies. Watchtowers were built on both sides of the shore, and swimmers were coordinated to maintain shifts of rescue teams. They maintained a 24-hour surveillance of the river. Zip lines with baskets attached were stretched across the river to get even more babies to safety quickly. The village applied all their ingenuity to save the babies. Still, the number of babies floating down the river only seemed to increase. The villagers built orphanages, and they taught even more children to weave blankets, and they increased the amount of food they grew so to keep the babies housed, warm, and fed. Saving the babies became their cause. Everyone was proud of their accomplishments. They congratulated themselves and all that they were accomplishing. And still, the babies kept floating down the river, needing rescue. Then one day, at a meeting of the village council, a villager asked a disturbing question. Where are all these babies coming from? Why are there so many children in danger? No one knows, said a villager, but I say we go organize a team to go upstream and find out who's throwing these babies in the river. But not everyone was in agreement. We need people to help us pull the babies out of the river, said one villager. That's right, said another villager. And who will be here to cook for them and look after them? The immediate need is so great, we can't spare anyone. All the villagers began arguing. What should be done? The village council decided to have a vote. Take care of the children now or send a team upstream to get more information. What would you do? How would you vote? And now Jud Dolphin will give our presentation for today.
Well, that's a question that deserves to be answered, right? But not yet. Okay. Good morning. Good morning. Today I want to share with you some stories about people who created positive social change. They showed us possibilities in what oftentimes looks impossible. These stories nudge us perhaps in new directions, and they can inspire. So today I'm going back to my Peace Corps days. I served in the Peace Corps when I retired, and these stories tell how ordinary people, when they come together, can create social change, and they make life better for their communities. So come with me, if you will, to Konotop, Ukraine. It was a time before the Troubles. It was a time of freedom. It was a time of innovation. I served there for 2 years, and we'll meet a small group of mothers who changed life for their special need children. Outside, it's gray and cold. Konotop is in a terrible weather pattern. For 19 days, there has been no sunshine. The streets are a mess with puddles. Yuck. I'm slipping and sliding everywhere. Well, while Konotop is wrapped up in a wet blanket, my work at the Hearts of Love Center, the Children's Center, is beginning. Now, Hearts of Love is a place where families get support and children have a safe space to grow. Playtime, special activities, movement practice, art sessions, and lots more. Meanwhile, mothers, they find respite. They get support from one another, and they find healing moments. As they talk, they work their hands with beaded art craft. I've been showing up on a regular schedule. Every day I pitch in and I try to help in any way that I can. I'm learning that showing up is really important. Being there and listening to the stories. They create connection. Well, Yelena Shashenko, she's the one in the red blouse. She directs the Hearts of Love Center. For years, Yelena, along with other mothers, have talked about having a day center. A day center, it was been part of their dreams for their new children, for their children. Then one day they found a rundown house, and with sweat equity, they restored it. A dream actually became true. Yelena comes to me one day with a big worry. Heat. We don't have enough money for heat. Do you have any ideas what we can do? Well, for sure it was getting cold outside. Even inside the building of Hearts of Love, the temperature was, well, it was below 50 degrees and falling. My nose got cold, even with a muffler around my neck and one of those skull caps. Everybody kept bundled up. So I gave it some thought, and I prepared some ideas to share with Yelena and the entire group of volunteers. I explained how NGOs sometimes create friend groups. They communicate with these friends and build support. Others hold open houses to showcase their work. Businesses and major donors are identified and then contacted. New relationships are started face to face. Some organizations hold benefit concerts, dances, bazaars. I shared these ideas, and several weeks passed. There wasn't a whole lot of response. But I was learning something. Groups make decisions in different ways. And in Ukraine, planning is less formalized than in America. In America, we have flip charts, right? Not in Ukraine. Lots of conversations. Everybody's opinion counted and needed to be heard. Often they would have tea along with cookies late into the afternoon and invite everyone to share. Discussions continued until a consensus is slowly molded together. Eventually, enough people are on board to move forward, and that's how it works in Ukraine. Well, we decided on an event. We'll celebrate International Disability Day with an open house and a sale of those artworks that the mothers have been creating. Of course, when there's a buzz about something new happening, people talk, one to another and to another, and the buzz found a newspaper reporter who wrote an article. And here it is, in part. In Konotop, children with special needs and disabilities are emerging from the shadows of isolation. They are discovering possibilities for a good life. The story may be one that most Ukrainians do not know, because in former times, as the old saying says, out of sight and out of mind was practiced widely. Disabled children were expected to stay at home or placed in institutions. Even today, in many communities, the sight of a disabled child in a public place is rare. A family with a disabled child can anticipate a lifetime of struggling with few resources, feeling helpless, and coping with growing despair. The whole family system is affected: mother, father, brother, sister, and grandparents. But in Konotop, for the first time, the Hearts of Love Center is inviting the entire community to become aware and understand more about the need. Well, with this kind of publicity, it's time to reach out. So we solicited businesses face to face. I teamed up with lead volunteers. They do the speaking in Russian, because mine wasn't very good, and I offer a lot of moral support. Shops and shopkeepers responded with gifts and offers of services. One shop offered free haircuts for Hearts of Love children and their families. The man said, just give us a call. It doesn't matter how many. We just want to help. Well, we also would be selling the mother's artwork. And I want you to take a moment. I can't help when I look at them to think of all the stories woven into each one. Yelena shows me a beaded flower that a mother and daughter, they made it together. The child cannot walk unassisted. When no one is available, she pulls herself along the ground. And Yelena says they wanted to participate. Look how beautiful. I'm deeply touched. I think it's important to be included, even when your body doesn't cooperate. Well, the event produced 2,800 grivna. That's nearly $1,000. We celebrate. Hooray. Turn on the heat. As I walk home that night, I see puddles, and an image comes to mind. Tonight was like tossing a pebble into a pond. You see the ripples, they flow outward into the community because we took the action of tossing that pebble. Ripples surround the hearts of people. They just want to help. So now, gratefully, we're going to have heat. A few days later, there's a surprise. The vice mayor of the city of Konotop comes to the center. And during the conversation, he asks, well, what do you think of this Hearts of Love? I easily am able to share all the accomplishments, how mothers have transformed a rundown, crumbling building into a center of activity and love. Disabled children, they are special. Yeah. I talk about the challenges of fundraising, and I put forward the idea of a united way where business and nonprofits and others join together to support the betterment of the community. He leans forward and he says, will you come and talk with the mayor? Wow. People do want to help. Good things are happening. Yeah? And it all started because a small group of women had a dream. My second story comes from Macedonia. The Peace Corps asked me to return to service as an organizational specialist in Macedonia. And I'll collaborate with a group called Public. Their focus is social equality. It's a nonprofit think tank type of organization. They research social issues and advocate for positive social change. They produce a magazine. It features a different social issue 6 times a year, and it's widely read by and respected by policy leaders. Behind it all is Clementina. She's in the purple blouse, and her small staff of researchers, writers, and activists. Right now, marginalized minorities are a major concern for the organization. We're talking about Roma people, or as sometimes called gypsies. Roma families migrated from India to Europe in the Middle Ages, and they have suffered discrimination ever since. Roma live segregated lives, often despised, they're deprived of economic and social opportunities. As I arrive in Macedonia, Public is considering an innovative approach for reducing poverty and contributing to greater community cohesion. It's known as social enterprise. Well, if you're like me, it's a new term. I haven't heard of it before. Well, here's a quick definition. Social enterprise means adopting business practices for greater social good, and not just for profits. Social enterprise. The idea came from the European Union at a conference that Clementina attended, and she brought it back to use in Macedonia. Now, instead of subscriptions for their magazine, Public uses and recruits, uses and trains vendors. And there's a picture of a group. They go out into the community, street by street, they sell the magazine, and they make money. Half of the cover price of the magazine goes right into their pockets. It's a win-win strategy. The magazine is called Lice Velice. Now, Lice Velice is Macedonian, and what it means in English is face to face. And it may sound like a strange group of words to call a magazine, but it has a dual purpose. Because readers come face to face with a social issue, and when they buy the magazine, they come face to face with Roma people. Tonight, the office is buzzing because a new issue of Lice Velice is about to be released at a gala gathering. It's part of an emerging marketing strategy. Bring supporters, business, and Roma people together. Let people talk and know one another. About 200 people will spill out onto the street. It's going to be an exciting evening. Clementina introduces the new edition of the magazine and says, and the topic is social responsibility. She says social responsibility, it's not well developed in Macedonia. We want to encourage nonprofit business to work together for the benefit of all. For example, tonight's event is sponsored by KNOF, an industrial construction business. And then Clementine reaches for a surprise. She reveals trendy tote bags. Yeah. Everyone is invited to look closer. And then they realize that these tote bags are made from discarded cement bags that came directly from the construction sites of KNOF, the industrial company. They've been transformed by creative artists. Everyone wants to buy one. Just an aside, since that event, and since I've left Macedonia, that one event sparked a cottage industry where Roma people are making tote bags for sale. Well, I assumed that the proceeds of this sale would go to Public. I mean, we need money. But no, there's another surprise yet to come. Public is organizing a collaboration with community groups who feed street children. The community group always needs more food. So Clementina recruits 4 food producers to donate. It's about connecting community and business and creating social responsibility. But there's a missing link, transportation. Clementina says, tote bags. We'll rent a van and a driver will deliver the food. Turning to me, she says, Jud, what do you think? Amazing, I say. It's kind of like the famous anthropologist Margaret Mead said, never underestimate the power of a small group of committed people to change the world. In fact, it's the only thing that ever has. In Ukraine, a small group of mothers reached out in the community. They found support, and now special needs children and their families have a better life. And again, in Macedonia, a small nonprofit aligned themselves with Roma people. They created opportunities for positive social change. So, what can these stories, what takeaway is there in it for us? Can we learn anything from what happened half a world away? Can we learn from these stories and reimagine our own social justice work? How might we get started? Allow me a few suggestions. First, let's create space and time for those meaningful conversations. Asking each other, what motivates us? What inspires us? Why do certain issues and situations resonate within? Sharing our own stories with one another. Let's become like lights of inspiration within our midst. We can do that. Second, let's reach out beyond ourselves into the larger community, especially where there is neglect or hurt or prejudice. Can we come face to face with marginalized people? Can we learn from their stories and work together? Let's seek partnerships. Let's know marginalized people as our friends. And finally, let's mold a consensus with lots of conversations so that we can move forward using our own creativity and dare to do what we can for positive social change. More kindness, more caring, more social justice right here. Is it possible? What do you think? There's that question again. Let's start the conversation.
Thank you, Jud. And now, in continuing with what Jud has said, we offer you a musical meditation today. Please get comfortable in your seats and contemplate the lyrics of this song, To Dream the Impossible Dream, sung here by Brian Stokes.
To dream the impossible dream, to fight the unbeatable foe, to bear with unbearable sorrow, to run where the brave dare not go, to right the unrightable wrong, to love pure and chaste from afar, to try when your arms are too weary to reach the unreachable star. This is my quest, to follow that star, no matter how hopeless, no matter how far, to fight for the right without question or pause, to be willing to march into hell for a heavenly cause. And I know if I'll only be true to this glorious quest, that my heart will lie peaceful and calm when I'm laid to my rest. And the world will be better for this. That one man, scorned and covered with scars, still strove with his last ounce of courage to reach the unreachable star.
There are many ways to be of service to LCUUF. Our time, treasure, and talents are all necessary components to a healthy fellowship. Now is the time in our service when we ask you to share the gift of treasure through pledging and donations. Instructions for payments to the fellowship are on the slide during the announcements before the service every week. For the people here at the fellowship, we'll pass a basket. If you're new here today, or if you're struggling to hold things together, let the basket pass you by. Your presence is more than enough of a gift to us. And while you're considering your gifts to the fellowship, remember that each month LCUUF donates 5,000 pesos or more to an organization in our Lakeside community. We share 1/2 of the offering collected at the fellowship each week with that organization. For the month of February, we're supporting Food Bank Lakeside. Food Bank Lakeside works to relieve the chronic food poverty of our most disadvantaged neighbors, collaborating with donors, volunteers, and businesses, just as Jud was talking about, and community organizations to ease the suffering and offer the hope of a brighter future throughout the Lakeside community. If you're not attending the fellowship in person, please donate to Share the Basket when you pay your pledge. Donate to Share the Basket separately or indicate what part of your donation is for Share the Basket. And now the offering has been gratefully received. Our closing hymn today is one of my favorites, This Little Light of Mine. Please rise in body or spirit and join us in singing.
Whew. I want to close our time together by these words reminding us that every person has power to make a difference. Every person. And when a few come together, they will inspire others. So let's work together for social justice in the world, where we live and around the world. As Martin Luther King said, it's one of his lesser known phrases, but an important one. The time is always right to do what is right. Yeah. So be it.
Now, let us extinguish our chalices with these words that we read together. We extinguish this flame, but not share with all the world. Michael, please.
We're going to close today's service with one of the great pieces for solo violin. I get the pleasure of going to the back and listening to this. I don't have to play one note. But Brenda has to play a lot of notes. And please welcome back Brenda Galvin to play the Preludio from J.S. Bach's Partita No. 3 for solo violin. And I would like to thank Brenda so much for giving her time for us today. Thank you, Brenda.
Beautiful. Thank you. Eric has an announcement.
This is off script, but just recently, Deborah Kelly and Colleen Berry have started a social justice group with our fellowship and other people in the community. So please, if you want to continue what Jud was talking about and interested, contact one of the two of them. You can get, everyone can be involved. Do you want to say anything? Yeah. Great.
Thank you for the opportunity, because the second thing that Colleen and I have organized with a new group called Neighbors Helping Neighbors, which anyone is invited to join, is this coming Saturday at Laguna Mall. It's an art show, but we're going to be having 4 of the organizations in Lakeside that really do offer assistance to women in the community and some young girls. It's the kickoff to International Women's Month. So please come to Laguna Mall. They'll have the tables, they'll have information, they'll have product to sell. Let's make a difference in the lives of these women. Thanks. 10 to 3.
Very good. Our worship is over for today. Our service begins. Go in peace and with a purpose.